Adam, we would love to hear from you real quickly. What's on your mind tonight?
Hello, can you guys hear me?
Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely.
Yeah, thank you so much for taking my call. It really made my day. I appreciate it. Before I get into my point, I just want to say all the shows and the people on your network, Secular Sexuality, Atheist Experience, Talk Heathen, I just want to say you guys are all doing something so monumentally important, and I just want to say I have immense respect for all of you. So, yeah, so just to
Yeah, I
say
appreciate
that before
that.
I
Thank
get into
you.
my actual point.
Sure,
Yeah, like I absolute respect. So what I want to talk to you guys about is, so I am a cis straight man,
Mm-hmm.
and I have a certain, sexual preference, like as anyone does. And the thing is, I have this like weird hang up and guiltiness about it. So when it comes to BDSM, I don't give a crap about the B or the M.
Mm-hmm.
I like the D and the S.
Yeah, domination.
So
So are we talking about domination and submission in this case? Or are we talking about sadism? Depends on how we do it.
No. So every letter of the acronym has like a double meaning,
Right?
which is what makes it so great.
Yeah, the
But
two in the
no,
middle.
So I am. Sorry. Yeah. So I am into the dominance and submission,
Mm-hmm.
and so basically, what I like is I like to just dominate and control women sexually,
Mm-hmm.
consensually. I always make sure we are always 100% on the same page, and that we have a safe word. Everything. But like that's what I like. Like I like just like dominating women, like using them basically as sexual objects if they want that to happen,
Right.
which we discuss.
Exactly. Good.
So, right. So my point is, I feel guilty about it because it makes me feel like I'm like deep down I'm like a chauvinist or a misogynist.
Mm-hmm.
That's a valid point of view. I know many people on the other side of that, many women who enjoy being subjugated and being submissive, who also feel that discomfort of, am I playing into a stereotype? Am I playing into, a sexist role play thing that, is maybe harmful?
Am I not a feminist
Right,
if I allow a
exactly.
man to tie me up or to do these things?
Right. And the thing that really...
Right. And I run into that all the time.
Mm-hmm. And if you're having these conversations with your...
Sorry, not to interrupt.
No, not a problem at all. If you're having these conversations with your subs, then that's amazing already that you guys are being that open and vulnerable with each other.
Not even really subs, though. It's just when I like to engage in sexual activities with women, that's what I like to do.
They don't necessarily have
It's
to
not
be
really
submissive
like a formal,
women.
Sorry.
No, I'm trying to clarify. So they don't necessarily have to be submissive women. You just like to dominate them, which is a thing. Correct?
Yes, I make sure that they want to be dominated first, like before. Yeah.
Of course, but
yes,
there are some people that don't identify as submissive but like to be dominated because it's the power struggle. They like to maybe fight for it.
Yeah, and instead of maybe a compliant slave or these different roles. I mean,
Right.
these are all silly fantasies. I mean, that's part of what we do here is take some of the it's great to go into a dungeon and the whips and chains and the heaviness and the darkness of it all, but really it is silly on its face. I mean, it's all it's role play, it's play acting, it's fairy tales, it's cops and robbers with your pants off.
And if it's just in the bedroom, that's true. But as someone that's a femdom, I'm in charge of all my partners in life and in the bedroom. I do switch a little bit with other switchy people, but I tend to lean on the dominant side. Nothing is more feminist than allowing a woman the choice of being dominated or being the dominant party.
Right.
There's nothing more feminist than letting women make their own choices for themselves.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So I guess I don't know. I just can't shake this feeling of like, I don't know, like I said before, being like a misogynist, because you guys, I just called into the show right now. You guys are the only ones I've ever like talked to about this in my life. I can't even talk to my best friends about this, because if I did, they would just say like, I'm a misogynist.
Yeah.
So it's like,
well, it makes sense to me that you're feeling these feelings of shame or guilt because you haven't talked to anybody about them. I mean, I understand that it's a chicken and an egg situation, because we do live in a culture where there's reason to feel uncomfortable. There's pressure coming from the outside that would stop you from really sharing these feelings or discussing these experiences with people. At the same time, one of the best ways to combat that shame is to do what's uncomfortable, is to talk to people, and, you know, finding people who are like-minded, people who are sex positive and receptive. You know, a great place to start is jumping on FetLife and finding your local kink community, whether you're discussing this with people online or going out to munches or joining play parties or these different things. By actually having these conversations, by going through the motions of it more than just once with us, but actually time and time again, discussing these things in a comfortable, open way, that exposure is going to do a lot to erase that shame and to make you feel like you're not the only one, because let me tell you, you're not.
You're not.
Guaranteed. That is a very, very common concern. And also, just to reiterate something we talked about early on in the show, there is no morality inherent in what you're attracted to and what turns you on. Like, there's nothing, it's an amoral thing. It's not good or bad. There's no morality attached to it. The only question of morality comes in, and how do you act on that, and is it consensual, and are you being respectful to the other person, and are you making sure that you aren't harming them? And if those criteria are met and both people are into it, then it's fine. It's absolutely fine.
And I think that it's
I always
important.
make sure all of that criteria is met. You guys are based in Austin, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Atheist Community of Austin.
I'm in a little random town in Maine. Like, I don't exactly have the same amount of resources that you guys have for this test. Not trying to like play the victim or whatever.
I definitely hear that. I mean, I came from a small town myself, and one of the reasons I settled here in Austin is because it's a little bit trickier to be whatever all of this is in the place where I came from. So I definitely hear that, but I do know that there are resources available to you. I mean, if you're watching this show now, then I understand you have access to the internet, you have access to a phone, you have opportunities to be meeting people, whether it's in person or online. I won't pretend that it's perfect. I won't pretend that it's anywhere near as glorious as being in this wonderful city. But I do believe that there are people that you can get into community with, even if that's just joining the ACA Discord or Facebook group, or, you know, spending more time with us damn heathens.
And you'd be surprised if you poke around online. I used to live in a small town in East Texas, and we actually had a BDSM group there. So I would search your city, or search the closest, largest city if you're willing to drive an hour or two, because there's a lot more than you'd think.
Wherever there's people, there are kinky people.
Exactly.
And
I've tried to find that before, and I don't know. It's just kind of failed every single time. I don't know. I just feel isolated, and I just don't feel like I can express honestly my feelings with other people without fear of being judged. Even though I really don't really care that much about being judged. I've always been my own guy, do whatever I want, but just being labeled as, you know, a bigoted person just based on the particular sexuality that you have, it weighs on me and it hurts me. And that's why I called you guys today.
Yeah, and it sounds like this is a fairly deep-seated concern. And I think that's very human and very reasonable in the climate that you're existing in. So it might be something to spend some time diving into with a good kink-informed, sex-positive therapist. So you might take a look at resources like ASECT, the American Association of Sexuality Educators, Counselors, and Therapists.
They're
Always so
thinking
terrified I'm going to mess that up.
therapists.
Yes.
Yeah, that's
Oh, that's news to
AASECT.
me.
Yeah.
I didn't know about that.
asec.org, as well as the Secular Therapy Project. And, we've definitely talked about those on this show before, but I'll throw up some links as well. Those are great places to start to find somebody that can help walk you through these things and maybe even help find, local resources and opportunities.
And one last thought, if you're worried and if it's causing you this much hurt and pain that you might be a misogynist, you're not. I think if you care this much about that issue, I think you're okay.
That's, I guess, kind of on a baseline instinct. That's kind of why I was calling into this show, just to get validation of that.
Sure.
So I'm not going to fly higher than mighty and say I wasn't doing that. So I appreciate that. That makes me feel a lot better. I also appreciate you guys giving me all those resources, which...
Yeah, I hope that you'll check it out, and I hope it works out, and I hope that you'll let us know. Feel free to give us a call back or even just shoot us an email and let us know. You might find there's a great community there. Say that again?
Sorry. When do you guys do call-ins to your show?
We're here every Thursday at 7, Central Standard.
Okay. Okay. All right, cool. So you're a once-a-week show?
Yes, sir.
It'll be 8 o'clock for you.
Yeah.
That's very helpful.
Thank you so much, everyone. Again, I just want to repeat, I respect and admire all of you because I think that what you're doing is so important. It's just so important. So thank you so much. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much.
Take care.
Thanks for calling.
I think that it's important to recognize that all of us have in our hearts some level of distrust of others, some level of aspects of racism, aspects of homophobia, or just concerns about people who are different than us. I think that lives in us, in each of us to some degree. But you're right. If somebody is that concerned and they really do care about these issues, that's a really good sign that they're maybe not the monster that they think of themselves as.
Exactly. Also, just something to think about, and this is something that I've been kind of mulling over. A lot of women who enjoy submission are operating in a society where they are told they cannot enjoy sex, that if they have sex, if they want to go out and get sex, then they're a slut, or that they are somehow lesser. And so for a lot of women, being able to let go and say, I'm going to be a sub in this moment, psychologically, it's easier to then enjoy it because there's not that stigma of, oh, well, you are going after this yourself. And it's an unfortunate thing that it has to be that way, I think. And I mean, granted, this isn't every sub, but I think that probably plays into it a little bit. What do you guys think?
I've heard that before. I know that you top sometimes. Do you want to?
Yeah. I mean, coming from another cisgendered white male, I do both top and I also bottom. I tend to more bottom than top. But a lot of it is like everyone has to deal with things that we worry that we might be doing wrong or going against a stereotype or anything like that. I know I've got them. I think largely it's important to know that everyone that you talk to is just as insecure and weak as yourself. And I think that is a really powerful thing to think about. It's where you worry about these things in your life and everyone else is worrying about the hundreds of things in their life. And it's I know whenever I'm topping, I sometimes have trouble being a very mean person because I don't want to hurt the person or I don't and part of that's my personality and part of that's because I care enough to have the hesitation before blank. Also whenever I'm doming, a lot of the time when I'm really having a good fun is pushing the emotional boundary of someone that I'm extremely close with. And it can be difficult to find that edge without going over it. And something which is really important is that person knows that you are there once you've gone back from that edge, you're going to be there to get them back to that normal emotional state. And it's taking that time. And I also find that battling with guilt of your situation is something which can be difficult to balance those two. Because like oftentimes whenever you're finished like really like hard doming, like and it's something which you then feel like you have to deal with those demons in your own self, which then detracts from your ability to taking care of what just happened to the person who you're topping.
Yeah, don't forget your aftercare, I think is the big takeaway.
And this just proves, again, that not only is it subs that need aftercare, a lot of dominants need aftercare too. They want
Absolutely.
reassurance that you didn't go too far.
Right.
Yeah.
So take care of yourselves and have a plan before it's over. And I have some partners that don't do what's called a drop when they start to feel bad until 3 days later. It's the way their brain chemistry works. Know enough about yourself and communicate enough with your partners to actually have that.
Right.
Yeah.